In this tutorial, we're going to go over some tips and tricks for making your project 2 and 3. So I'm going to start off with just making a freestyle design and go under my AEC extended to the wall tool. I'm going to make sure I have snaps enabled. I'm going to right click on this and make sure I have grid snaps enabled. And I'm not going to use a blueprint for this. I'm just going to go right to my top view and I'm just going to draw out a line. Doesn't matter if it's straight or not. And connect the points and right click to finish. So this is going to be the base for the house that I'm going to start. Now I made these lines crooked on purpose so I can show you how to correct them. So with the object selected, I'm going to go to modify and I'm going to name this first before I start to outer walls. I'm going to click on the plus sign right here, go to vertex mode, and now this enables you to select the vertices here. If I zoom in, you can see you have your little vertex ticks right here. I'm going to go to my move tool, and I'm just going to move these until they're straight. Same thing with this. Now, what I can also do is look at the values of this location right down here. So on the x-axis, this is negative 270. So I can copy this and go to this value and make this negative 270, hit enter. Now that's aligned. I'm also gonna move these out just a bit, make my house a little bit longer, like so. So now we have the outer walls set up. I'm gonna start making the interior walls. So I'm gonna go to my wall tool again. I'm gonna start a completely different wall. So for starters, I want to have sort of an entrance area about right here, and I want to have maybe a hallway going around. So I'll make a line tool, so something like that. So I have my little entrance area with a hall, then it goes here. Maybe this can be a separate room. Put a line straight through here. And this can be a room. This can be a room. This can be a corner section for a room. Let's say I have this as an open area. So now I have some extra walls in here. If I go back to my perspective view, you can see they're different wall pieces, but I want to connect them all together. So I'm going to start off by selecting one, go to the Modify tab, go to Attach Multiple, and then it's going to give me a list here of all the objects in my scene. Now see, this is where naming your objects come in handy, because I have named my outer walls. I know that I want to select just these walls and attach. So now all my inner walls are attached with each other. So now I'm going to start making the doors for the entrance area. I'm going to go back to doors, make a pivot door. Now I want to extend my grid just a little bit. So what I can do is, say if I go to my top view and rotate it down, you see my grid is covering the whole area now. And my field of view is a little bit warped, but this will still work out. So I'm gonna click and drag out for my door here. I'm gonna let go, click again, and then drag up and click, and there's my door. And I'm gonna go back to modify and change the parameters here. Leave my height at 70, my width at 60, and I'm going to make it double doors. Make sure I open it up. You always want to open your doors to see if the tool actually boolean the wall out for you. In this case, it did. Switching back to perspective view. So I have my entrance here. So I'll move this over just a little bit and make sure this is on. Let's say I want to have this on the origin point here. So my entrance is going to be right here. So now I want to go back and start making some adjustments to my walls here. So I'm going to combine all of my walls together just so that I can copy this door to the next wall. Because right now, if I were to copy this to, let's say, this wall here, it's not automatically going to boolean that wall out because it came from a different wall tool initially. So I want to combine all this into one wall tool so it's a lot faster. So selecting on this wall, go to attach and just click on this wall. Now it's attached. So now if I copy this wall over, this door over, now it automatically booleans out that area. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. I'm going to close this and I'm going to make this a single door. Change the width to 30, make it a single door. And I'm just going to put this somewhere, maybe over here. And I'm going to go to my rotate tool and I'm going to make sure I have my angle snaps on. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. So now my door falls along this wall here. And I want to copy this door. So I'm going to shift drag out again, copy the door. There it is. I'm going to change my wall tool color just a little bit just so it's easier to see the walls and the doors. There we go. So now that I have my wall tool all together, now I can go through and start making some changes. So I'm going to go into segment mode and I'm going to go to wireframe F3 and I want to divide up this segment here because what I want to do is I want to remove the middle part of this wall here. But as you can see, when I select this, it selects everything all the way down. So I need to put a division into this wall and connect this wall with this wall. So in order to do that, I go to top view, then I go to vertex, and I go to refine, and I'm just going to put a vertex tick somewhere on this line here. Doesn't really matter where I put it because what I want to do with this is select this and move it right on top of this point. It's going to ask me to weld it. I'm going to say yes. So now that these points are welded, this section has been effectively divided. So if I go to segment mode and click on this again, you see that now this section right here is separated from this part. So I'm going to divide up this segment here. I want to make sort of like a little hang for the wall. I want to divide this a little bit, so I'm going to go to my divisions, divide by 2, and hit divide. So now it has put this centerpiece here. Oops. Now I want to move over this point here just a little bit. Move this just a little bit. Now, you notice that there's like a little graphical glitch right here. You see there's just a segment kind of just hanging out. So I'm just going to move that back and move that forward. And it's still there. Now it's changed location. This is just a little bug in Max, but You can effectively get rid of it by just closing the scene and just reopening it. So I'm going to do that in just a few. Just make sure I have these segments spaced out the way I want them. And I'm going to put 2 windows right here. I'm going to go back to Windows. I'm going to make a fixed window. And drag it right across here. Click and drag it. I'm going to let go. Click and drag up for the height. Click. And I'm going to change the height to Z to 20. So now I have a window here. I copy this, put it right here, move the height up 20, make sure I have the right dimensions, measurements. So I need to put this over just a little bit. Now you notice that anytime I try to move this, it's actually changing the z-axis of the segment. So let's try using this from the top view instead. Select just the x-axis, move this over, and it looks like it's doing the same thing, but whoa, then we got some little glitchiness here. The reason it's doing that is because it's on the floor. So if I move it up, it'll fix that. Now I'm going to save file. I'm going to reset the scene. I'm going to reload the scene. And now that little graphic piece that was here, the little wall bit, is gone. So sometimes you have to do that to kind of toggle out different things. Go back to segment mode for my wall. I'm going to select this segment here, and what I want to do is raise the height of this. Let's say I want the height to be, well, the bottom of, I want to raise the bottom of it so it's not touching the floor. I'm going to raise this up to 80 and make the height 16, which equals 96. So now if I look at this, I have this little wall segment right here. So that's a quick way of doing that. So now I want this to be kind of a hallway here. I want to get rid of this segment here. And this is already separated, so I just hit delete. So now I have a hallway that goes back to this little area here. I can put another door over this side. Copy that. And I want to rotate this 90 degrees. Actually 180 degrees because I want it to be the opposite direction. And the reason for that is I want the door to open into the room. Because usually if you see a lot of houses, you'll see that usually doors open into a room and not the other way around. There we go. Have the door going that way. Make sure these are going the right direction. Open them up, like so. So I'm going to change the way this looks a little bit. I'm going to add some segments for the panels. So something like that. So all of these are fine. I'm just going to turn these to beveled because I don't need glass on these type of doors. I'm going to keep these beveled. Now, one thing I noticed that I forgot to do is change the width of the frame. So right now, the doors are kind of inset into the wall here, and I don't want it to do that. I actually want it to have some depth. So I'm going to use something like 3.5. So now you can see the frame on this side and this side. So I'm going to make sure I do that to all of my doors here. So a depth of 3.5. I'm just going to copy this value and paste it on here. No, not that one. This one, 3.5, 3.5. There we go. So now we have a frame for the doors. The windows are fine. They can be inset. So now I have a bunch of rooms in here. This could be my first floor. And now I want to make the actual floor in here. So the easiest way to do this is to make a plane, go to your top view, look it straight down, and I'm just going to draw this out. Start from this corner, drag it out to this corner. Now I have my plane. Take a look at what's going on in here. I have a lot of segments going through here, so I want to get rid of those initially. So no segments. I'm just going to make this a gray color. Now I need to extend this to go over this way. So in order to do that, I'm going to convert this to an editable poly. And I'm going to load up my ribbon here. I'm going to toggle this ribbon on and off. Well, toggle it on. So now I can have access to my Swift Loop tube. I'm going to turn off Realistic, put it on Shaded so it doesn't show any shadows. And go back to my top view here. So with Swift Loop, it's going to show you like a preview for where your line is going to go. Now what I want to do is I want to put a line going straight through this wall right about here. So I'm just going to drop this in here, go to edge mode, and I'm going to use this to kind of move my edge. Now sometimes it's really hard to see where your edges are. I'm going to go out of my top view, go to perspective. You see there's where the line is. The line is going straight through the bottom part of that wall. So now what I can do is select this segment here and hold shift and drag this out so it reaches the end of this. So now if I go back out of wireframe, you can see the floor has been completed. And since I have the segment going through here, this little section right here can be its own floor area. So this will be work out for when you want to do different materials for your floors. So I'm going to drop two segments in here, and I'm just going to move this over so it's right on top of, well, underneath this wall here. It's like this one and this one. Move this to corner here. So now it's that wall. I also need to put segment going across here. And it looks like some of my points are misaligned, so I'm just going to readjust these. And it looks like my snapping tool is not working correctly. You see that my little center point for my snap and my actual vertex, they aren't lining up on top of each other. They're kind of off center. So quick hack to fix that. I'm gonna save it and reset the scene. Open the file back up. Select the floor again. And I'm gonna try that again. Make sure I have snaps on. Turn on my move tool. And look, now it works. I can put that right in the center. Make sure all these vertices are in the center where the walls meet. There we go. That's in the center. Move this over a little bit. The center. The center of this one. There we go. Okay, and this last one here, and this one. Okay, so now all of my vertices appear to be centered. Oh, forgot this one. There we go. Okay, so all of my points are centered now. So now what I can do is when I go into polygon mode, you can see I can select areas now. So this will be the hallway. This will be this room, this room. This will be this whole area here, and this will be this room. So now I have those separated. I can actually change the materials up for each floor. So let's say if I want to have carpet in one area, but hardwood floors in the other area, and maybe tiles in another area, I can do that by just clicking in the area and changing the material IDs. So something like that. I'm going to move this door over just a little bit, just so it's kind of somewhere in the center of this little walkway here. Take a look at that, open that up. Go to top view. Looks like I need to move this over just a little bit, right about there. So now the center line for the door is going straight back through. Here we go. So I need to make some windows for my outer wall here. So I'm going to go back to Create tab, gotta go Windows, and I'm going to make some sliding windows. So the same way you make the doors, the same exact way you make the windows. Change the height, 60 by 30. Make the windows a little bit wider. Alright, so I'll stick with these values here. Now I want to pull my frame out just a bit. So I'll increase the depth to maybe something like 6. So now I have a frame on both sides. And if I open the window, it just cut out the wall, like so. And I'm just going to drag this over. Oops. And let's see what the height of this window is. 20 on the Z, so 20. Let me go to my front view. Take a look at this. So I have my windows, door here. So now I can copy these windows around to any area I want. So these are good to go. So now let's make some stairs in here so we can go to a different level of the house. I'm gonna put some stairs. And the stairs might be a little tricky to make. Whoops. I'm gonna make a, let's say I'll make an L shape for the stairs. I want to go the opposite direction, like that. Yeah, so something like that. Now, the crazy thing with the stair tool, once you click to finish it, because you have snaps on, it's gonna automatically go back to the floor. So you just have to key in the height value. So I'm gonna go back to overall for the rise, and I'm just gonna type in something like 100. So I got my stairs going along the wall here. I'm gonna change the width of my stairs. The length, I'm gonna make it an even value. Let's say 100 by 260. So it's a little bit even. Width is gonna be 50. Now I need to change the length of this one, second length. Alright. So I need to move my stairs back a little bit. Something like that. And the length too needs to change just slightly. There we go, offset. So this is the value that I was looking for. Change the location of this. So that looks like that's about right. So now I can go in and start putting my second story in here. So let's go and do that. So to do this, I'm going to put in my next grid in here. I need to make an actual grid object, so I'm going to go to helpers, use grid. I'm just going to draw this out over my area. And I need to change the height of this to 96. This is where I want my second floor to start. And I'm going to right click and go to active grid. So it activates this grid here. And now what I can do is I can go back to my wall tool and top view. I can draw up my second floor, second story wall here. Let's take a look at this grid, make sure things are lining up. All right, so I changed the grid spacing to 5 so that see if my grid points actually align. So I'm having a bit of an issue here. You see when I turn on this grid here, I activate this grid, you see it's not quite aligned. So it looks like I need to align this grid. So I'm going to make this 0, 0 for X and Y. And now my grid points are lining up with the home grid. There we go. That's what I wanted. So when you make your grid, make sure you center it up a little so you get the right measurements. So now I can start making wall number 2. And start here, click this corner, that corner here, here, there, and weld the points and right click to end it. So now I've made second floor. It's going to make this a different color so it's easier to read. Now I have my second level in here. So now I need to make second area in here where my actual floors. So I'm going to go to standard, go to plane, go back to top, and turn off realistic so I can actually see. And I'm just going to draw a plane out from this corner to this corner. Because maybe my second level is just going to reside just in this area here where the stairs meet. So maybe this hallway here is going to be sort of a cutoff point here, and it's going to be completely open and you'll be able to see the second floor, and maybe this will be kind of a balcony area. So that'll work out. So now I have the second floor in here. Let's go and kind of divide this up a bit. Use the wall tool. So go back to AEC extended, the wall. I'm going to save the file. And let's put a room, let's say going straight across here. Maybe this is going to be kind of like a balcony area for the hall. So I'll kind of put my divisions in here and here. So this will be like an L-shaped type of hallway. And inside of here, you'll have maybe some extra rooms. Let's say I put a division here, going all the way across to there. Let's take a look at what I have here. So I have a bunch of rooms in here now. And now I can go and actually start to put in some doors and everything. I'll put one more division in here, kind of divide that up. So we have some rooms here. This will kind of be a balcony area. We just kind of walk around. So now again, I want to attach my walls here, but before I do anything else, I need to go back and separate out my first floor from my second floor in layers. So what I want to do is go to my front view, and I'm just going to select everything above the above the first floor. So if I take a look at what I did, I selected everything here, and I want to put it on its own group. So I'm going to go to my manage layers. So you see I have these selected, and I'm just going to hit create new layer. I'm going to call this second floor and toggle the visibility off. I'm going to select everything else. I don't really need to have this on anymore. I'm going to disable that. So I'm going to select everything except this grid and make a new layer. Call this first floor. So now first floor and a second floor. And on this floor, I just have a grid. Say I have two grids. Let's see where this one is coming from. This grid here, I don't really need, so I'm just going to delete that. I only need the grid here, so I'm just going to call this grid second floor. Alright, so now I can toggle off my second floor on and off, and same thing with the first floor. This just makes it easier to organize certain things. So I'm going to toggle my first floor off because I'm only worried about the second floor now. Now I'm going to go back to modify, attach multiple, and select all my walls in here. So now they're all one wall. Now let's start going through and making some doors. So I'm going to right click and activate the grid again. I'm going to go to my doors, go to pivot. Oh, so what it's asking me right now, I'm not selecting on a layer, so I need to go back and fix that. So I'm just going to cancel out of that, go back to my layer manager, and make sure I'm selected on floor 2. So this little icon here lets you know that you're selected on your second floor layer. Now, if you're using a different version of Max, let's say maybe 2014 or below, this icon might be a check mark. All right, so we go and make my door here. Close that. It's already open. And definitely don't want double doors. So I'm going to change the width to 30. Uncheck double. I want to make this beveled. That looks about right. Now I can kind of move this over to where I want it to be. There's a doorway here. Let's copy this. And I want to put this door over this side. So I'm going to rotate this. Oh, make sure I have my angle snaps on. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. Make sure I put the door actually on the wall. Like so. And I'm going to change the color of this little floor here so it's easier to see everything else. There we go. Colors are kind of clashing a little bit. Copy and drag this over again. So door, 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 door. So this is going to be kind of like a cool thing where you have maybe a hallway and it leads to maybe this area here and this leads to this area. So depending on what you are going for, you can kind of design your own house. I'm just kind of freestyling this at the moment. I'm going to get rid of this segment here. So I'm going to go back to my wall, and in order to get rid of this segment here, I need to put a division in here. So I'm just going to go to refine and just drop a vertex there, select the vertex, and drop it right onto this point, weld a point, go to segment, select this segment, go on the wireframes you can see, selecting this segment and delete. So now I have this hallway going up to this door here. Let's say maybe I can put this door over this side. Something like that. Alright, so now let's go through and put some actual railings so we don't actually fall to the first level. I'm going to go back to my layer manager just to see. I'm just going to dock this over here on the side. Now you can't do this in any other versions other than 2015 and 2016. So second floor, I'm going to unhide the first floor so we can kind of get a point of reference. Now I want to make some railings that kind of go along this path here. So, quick way to do that is I'm going to select this little plane here. I'm just going to call this floor second, just so I know what it is. And this one down here is going to be floor first. I'm going to hide this little grid here so it's easier to see. And now I'm going to take this plane here. I'm going to get rid of these segments in here. I don't need all these segments. I'm going to go to convert to editable poly. On the wireframe so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to select this line here and this line here. I want to make the balcony go kind of around the corner like this. So I need to put some divisions in here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to load up the Graphite Modeling Tools, go to Swift Loop, and I want to put a division, let's say, right where this wall meets here. So if I go to my top view, take a look at this. I'm going to go into my vertex mode, and I'm just going to move the vertices this time. Now I have that division here. So if I take a look at my polygon tool, I have this side and this side. That's kind of what I wanted, because I want to take the information from here and use it to make my actual railing for the stairs, for the balcony area. So I'm going to take this edge, and I'm going to go to create shape from selection. I'm going to make a linear shape. I'm just going to name this shape second floor balcony. So I know what it is. So I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to go and make my railing. So I'm going to go to AEC Extended, go to Railing, pick Path, and now I'm going to pick the path that I just created right here. So let's take a look at this. It looks a little weird right now, so we can make some adjustments. So I'm going to right click to end that operation, go to Modify tab. First off, I'm going to change the height to 96 because I know it needs to be here and here. I'm going to tell it to respect corners. Now we kind of got this balcony going along the side here. So now I need to go and kind of make some changes. So if I go over here and select my shape second floor balcony, which is the shape that I created, I'm just going to kind of move this over so it's about right here. So it kind of meets where the stairs meet. And go back to the railing tool. And I can go through and change the way this looks a bit. Let's say if I want to put some more pickets in here, some more posts. Increase this number here. So something like that to make sure people don't actually fall through this. Close that. I want to increase the number of rails as well. So 2 rails instead of 1. Let's say for the top rail here, I don't make this rounded. Change the depth, maybe the width. Now the width and the depth need to actually match when it's rounded, so I'm going to do 5 by 5. So it makes this railing just a little bit thicker. So something like that. So now we have this railing here. I'm just going to make this a different color so it's easier to differentiate. So now I have my railing going along here. So now we don't fall. Now we need to put some rails on the actual staircase. Let's see about doing that. So the stairs have their own sort of rail system in this. But let's say I want to extend this rail here and meet to the bottom of the stairs. I can actually do that. And it's going to completely change the layout for this one. So maybe I'll just make a new line in here. I'm going to go to my line tool, and I'm just going to kind of draw a line out here. Something like that. So it kind of follows that L shape of the stairs. Now I need to adjust the height of this. I'm going to change the height of this to 0. It touches the floor. And I'm going to change the height of this to something like 48. I might need to readjust the heights on this just a bit, but we'll see. So this railing is going to be for the first floor. So I'm going to take this line here with the selected, and I'm going to add it to the first floor instead. I'm just going to take this and put it in here. This is going to be line stair railing. So I'm just going to change it in here. Stair rails. Go back to the rail tool. Pick railing path. Stuck here. And again, it puts it at the wrong height. I want it to be at 0, or let's see, 96. 96, there we go. So now it looks like it comes up and meets where I want it to meet here. And now it looks like I need to kind of move this off just a little bit. I need to move this so it's kind of on top of the stairs itself. So we can do that. I might even combine these rails together. But for now, I'm just going to change, let's see, line stair rail here. And this is the second railing here, so I need to move this up to the first floor, or down to the first floor, because it starts and connects from the first floor to this. So I'm going to go back to the line it's actually on, and I just need to move this over just a bit. Not that much. I'm going to turn off my snaps, because my snaps is going to kind of adversely affect how I want to do this, because it's snapping by grid points of 10, and I kind of want to move by a smaller interval. So I'm going to use my relative move transform. So all I did was hit F12 on the keyboard and brings up this little box here. Now the values here are your absolute values, and these are your relative values, which is why they're zeroed out. I want to move this 5 on the y-axis. So I'm just going to type in 5. You see it moves it over just a bit. And I want to do the same thing with this point here. Move this 5 on the y. Now going back in this direction, I want to move this -5 on the x. -5 on here, and -5. Now I can kind of go through and kind of play with where I want the stairs to actually start, and play with the height of this a bit so I can adjust it just a little bit. So something like that. Then I can always go back and kind of fix the height. I mean, not the height, but the number of stairs here. So let's say I'm fine with the overall. I just want to change the number of stairs and go do that. So something like that. I can make maybe 15 steps. And now you see that it kind of changes the overall profile here. So I need to change the offsets a bit. So it just meets right there. There we go. And it looks like I might need to change the height just a bit. So goes on that. Maybe adjust the height just a bit. It looks like 103. Maybe 102. So you can kind of play with these values just a little bit to kind of get it to line up with this corner here. So now I have that lined up. I'm gonna change the stair type to closed. And it looks like I need to bring this up a bit again. I'm gonna go back to the line tool, which is right here. So if I go to wireframe, you can see there's that point. I just want to bring this point up just a bit. So something like that. So now I have the rail for the stairs and this rail for this little overhang area. Now I need to change the thickness of this floor here because my walls are kind of going through it just a bit. So I'm going to add some width to this floor. I'm going to go on a wireframe so you can actually see when this happens. I'm going to use a shell modifier. So now it bumped up the height of my floor just a little bit by 1. So now you can see it's a little bit thicker. So if I turn this on and off, you can see it kind of raises the thickness a bit. So I kind of want to bring this floor out just a little bit too. Let's say I want to go this -5 on the x-axis. So I'm going to bring up my move transform type in and I offset this by -5 on the x. So it goes that direction. So maybe not -5, maybe undo that. See what it actually needs to be. Something like -2.5. So -2.5. So now it lines up with that edge. I want to do the same for this one. So -2.5 lines up with that edge. And do the same with this one for the y direction. So -2.5. And make sure this lines up here. -2.5. Alright. I definitely need to fix this one too. So for this one, it's going to be 2.5 on the y and 2.5 on the x. Now we have the corners blocked out. Need to fix this one too. So 2.5, there we go. So now we have this floor covered, like so. Yep, it's looking good. So now we have our second floor pretty much blocked out. So I'm going to go through and put some windows in here again. Windows. I'm just gonna make it consistent and use a sliding window. Oops, forgot to turn on my snap tool. Yeah, I want to make the values the same. So let's see. Let's want to use 60, 40, and 6. So 60 by 40 by 6. And I'll just kind of move these over so they're sort of aligned. And I want to add 20 pixels, 20 for the height. So I can do transform type in, just type in 20 for the Z. Move this over. I'm just going to hit Control V to copy. And I want to move this to this position over here. So let's see, the X position is -90. So I'll paste that into this. So those line up. There we go. And now I want to go about sort of making the roof for the house. So I just want to finish this off a bit. So for this, I'm going to make what is referred to as a gable for the wall. If I go to Profile, I'm going to select on this wall here. And you see that it kind of puts a grid vertically. I'm going to change the height of this to something like 96, and I'm going to go create gable, and it makes this. I'm going to select this side here, and I want to make sure I separate this division for this wall first before I even do that. So go back to vertex mode, and again, I'm just going to hit refine, drop a vertex here, and move this onto this point. Oh, I don't have snaps on. Turn snaps on first, drop it onto that point. Whoops. It's like something weird is going on here. Looks like my other grid isn't active anymore, so I need to activate that. So I'm gonna go back out of this first and activate this grid so I don't accidentally mess that up again. Now I'm gonna select this vertex here, drop it onto this point, weld it. There we go. So now we have two segments here and here. Looks like I might have put more than one vertice, or it just hasn't updated yet. Probably just hasn't updated. So I have the gable for this wall. I'm gonna go to Profile, select this piece of the wall, and since I already have the height 96, I'll just create gable again. So then we have that, and I'm gonna do the same for this part here. And this piece here. Then we have that. So now I just need to kind of make the roof to match up with it. Go into my front view here. Profile. I'll select this gable here. I might be able to snap it to a point. Here we go. So I'm looking at it straight on. I can snap it to a certain point that I want it to go on. Same thing with this point. Just gonna snap that to a point. something like that. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I actually want my walls to match up with the roof I'm going to put in here. I'm going to change the height of this just a bit. Now, this is weird because this is going the opposite direction of where I want it to go. There we go. That's kind of where I want it to stop. So maybe I'll make this one just a little bit taller, but I can always go back and correct that. I'm going to use the line tool to kind of draw out the shape of my roof. So with the line tool selected, I'm just going to make a line go straight across here. So I'm just going to draw this out first and I'll fix it later. So something like that. So now that I have the line actually done, I can go through here and I'm going to turn off my snaps because I want this to actually line up with my wall a little bit better. So I kind of want to make these lines here kind of touch each other just a bit. Something like that. Make sure this goes down here. And I definitely need to bring this up just a little bit. Something like that. So this is going to be the little center line. It's going to make my roof. And to make it go straight across, all I have to do is go into rendering and enable and render, enable and viewport. Make sure it's on radial. And I'm going to change the thickness. Oh, first I'm going to take it off radial, sorry, rectangle. And I want to change the length here. So now that it covers the actual roof, I may need to adjust this one here. So actually what I will do is I will separate this piece here. So let's say I go to turn this rendering off first. I'm going to separate this one out. I want to make this a separate piece because I need to make this a different length than this one. So I'm going to take this one first and I'm just going to detach it. Control detach, scroll down, detach. Okay. So I want to kind of find where the center of this house is, so I can kind of probably make some measurements to try to figure out where it is. So I'm gonna go to my measure tool here, and I'm gonna use my tape. This time I'm gonna turn my snaps on. I just want to kind of get the length of this here. So with this green line drawn, it's gonna go from this point to this point, and see what it's saying. So from here to here, it's kind of telling my length is 470. Okay, so the length of this is 470. So I need to divide that by 2. So I'm just going to bring up my calculator here. Do 470 divided by 2. So 235 is going to be my middle point. So how does that actually translate to the center here? So I need to look for the Y position. I'm just going to type in, find out where this point is right here, and then I'll subtract 235 from it. So I'm going to take this point here, and this point is on the Y direction is 190. So I'm going to put this at 190 so it matches up with this line. And I'm going to go to my transform type in now. And I need to go on the negative. So I'm going to subtract 235 from it. And now this should give me the center point of where my line should be. Same thing with this point here. I need to find where the center point of this line is. So I'm going to use measure again. So I'm using tape, selecting this point to this point. It is 360. So that's going to be 180. So this point here is 190. So that means my center point is going to be 10. So if I put 10 for my center point there, that should work out. Alright, now out of wireframe mode, and now we're going to see how this works out. Turn on rendering. Now I need to adjust the length just enough so it overhangs a bit. Let's say I'll make it an even 395, something like that. And I'll take this here, render in the viewport, and move this down the length a little bit just so it overhangs just a little bit. And I'll make this 495. So now it looks like I need to bring this down just a bit. So this point to this point is fine. I need to maybe line this up just a little bit more. So there we go. So 505. So now it kind of matches up with this point here. So now I need to kind of put a segment in here and kind of bring this down. But first, I'm going to increase my thickness here. So I'm just going to put this at about, let's say 10. Make this one 10 as well. So something like that. Now we have the roof in here. So now I'm going to convert this to an editable poly. Convert this one to editable poly. And I want to focus on just this one here for now. But I want to attach these first. So I'm going to use attach both of these objects. And I'm going to make a new layer, call this roof. So I have my objects selected, and I'll just name them roof, like so. I'm going to go into isolation mode, so Alt Q. So all I need to do is focus on just these two objects for now. Now I want to put a line going through this and turn off my snap tools. I'm going to change the color to something else so it's easier to see. Now I need to figure out where certain things are. So negative 87.5 is the location of this point here for on the y-axis for this line. So I want to draw another line that kind of matches up with that. So negative 187.5. So now that's aligned. Now I want to weld these points together. So I need to delete both sides of these. So I'm going to take this face, delete, and take this face and delete. Now I want to weld these vertices together. I'm going to go on wireframe. You see these points here. I need to target weld these. So I'm going to use target weld, click this point, this point, this point, and this point. Same thing over this side, this point, and this point. Try that again. And it's not letting me select this point, so let's go check to see if something is actually still on. Oh, there's another face in here I need to delete, so delete that. There we go. Now it should let me do it. Target weld, this point to this point, this point to this point. So now we have this pretty much done. Alright, now I'm going to unhide this. So now what I can do is I can go through to this here, and I can increase this little overhang a little bit and extrude this along the local normal and pull this out just a bit. So now it comes out over that little top piece there. So something like that. So now we kind of have two different stories of the house. I can always go through and just kind of move my windows around how I want them. Turn on snaps. Sometimes this kind of works against you. Alright, so I can put my window in here, anywhere I want. Let's see what the height of this is. 116, so I'll make this 116 just so it matches up. Close the door, and boom, there's our house. So take a look at what we have here. We have first floor, second floor. So if I get rid of the roof, we can look down on the second floor. Get rid of the second floor, we can look down on the first floor. So now we see we have pretty much everything we need in here. I might want to even go through and maybe add another door on the opposite side. So I'm going to turn that on, the door like right over here, and rotate this 180 degrees. There we go. So make sure that opens correctly inward. So we have kind of a back area over here. So something like that. Go back to my second floor over here. Everything's looking pretty good. So that's about it for this tutorial. This is pretty much how you can go about making your entire house. So you can go and kind of go through and add more windows, add more doors, but pretty much this is the basic structure of how you go about building different things in your house. And again, these little grid icons, these grid tools are definitely very useful because you can activate these and then you can draw directly on top of these. So recommend using these when you're using multiple stories. So I'm going to save this out and I'm going to load up my other house. So here's my other house that I actually built, and I kind of made this the same way. I have 3 stories on this. If I turn off the roof here and look down in here, I have some rooms in here, a bunch of windows. I actually have a little balcony going here from the first floor, so you can go upstairs to the second floor from here. I have a little bit of pillars in here. I have the garage down here on the first floor. So if I turn off the third floor here and go back down, this is my second floor. You can see I have my stairwell going kind of up. Now for this stairwell right here, this one I started off with an L-shaped stair, and then I converted this to an edible poly, and I kind of moved the vertices here where I wanted to kind of get this shape to kind of fit perfectly. So now you can see this goes down to the first floor here. So if I turn off the second floor, oops, here's my first floor here, and I started putting some names in for my little rooms. So something like that. So I'm not expecting you to have anything this elaborate for your projects, but this is just an example of what you can do for your project. And the way I made the garage door is I simply made a pivot door and I made it really, really wide. I mean, because it doesn't need to be animated, it doesn't need to open, so you don't need to worry about opening and closing that. It just needs to look like a garage door. So if I turn off frozen for all of these, you can kind of see what my house kind of looks like with all the different colors in here. I'm going to go through and put materials on everything in here, and that'll be another lesson. But it's just kind of how you can do your house. So the same way I did the roof previously, I did it the same way here, or I just kind of drew a line, added some thickness to it, and then just kind of readjusted the width and the points here just so it matches up here. This little overhang I made for this roof here, I started off with the plane and then just kind of modeled that up here just to kind of make a little lip. And same thing with this one. I kind of just modeled that. And I have a little balcony here, which this is a rail right here. And it's just kind of an overhang here for the balcony. Then I have, of course, my sliding door here. I got a bunch of sliding windows. Whoops. Let me go to open. A bunch of sliding windows here and there. Open my front door, entry. And like I said, the garage door is not going to open like a garage door because that's something you're actually going to have to model correctly. Because if I open it right now, it opens really weird. No garage door opens like this. But it doesn't need to be animated, so you don't even have to worry about that. And I kind of made a spiral staircase from here, and I just kind of lined things up. And there's another rail kind of going around here. And there's the door to go back into the second floor level. So this is my house that I just kind of freestyled. I didn't use any blueprints. I just kind of freestyled it just to kind of get a general idea of how I want to do things. So it's just something like what I'm looking for your house. Of course, you don't have to have 2 stories. It's optional. It's whatever you want to do. So I hope this has been very helpful for getting started on your project. And if you have any questions, just email me.